I'm from India. I founded India's largest youth innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem established in 7,000 schools and colleges, promoting SDG awareness and creating a platform for young innovators to showcase solutions on rural and semi-urban problems. And I also conceptualized and directed the first ever reality TV show for youngsters. It's very similar to Shark Tank, if you guys have watched it. It's aired over 160 episodes, and the show has been instrumental in winning 2 presidential awards, which is the highest awards for young innovators in India. I used to be a national and an international swimmer for India, and I won several awards. But I feel much more better being an empowerer now of many young innovators in India, and it is such an honor and a pleasure to meet with you all, and I'm sure that it's going to be a wonderful session headed by Raina. Thank you so much.
So we'll start over here and just address why are you working with the SDG that you're working with?
For me, the reason why I started working in SDGs in the first place, the core SDG which I was working on was quality education, and I wanted to impact it through innovation. The problem in India especially was the rigid academic system. If you look at Indians who you may have known are geniuses, but they are really, really monotonous in their preparation. They can memorize math, they're really good at math, they can memorize and reproduce data like a computer, but that was a huge problem. They were not thinking straight, they were not thinking out of the box, they were not innovating. And when India had the largest youth population with 52% of its population, around 1.6 billion, so 800 million youngsters under the age of 30, and they were all coming out of schools like robots. So that's what motivated me to start working and to make a difference in quality education. And the way I wanted to implement that change was to introduce a new method of learning, an adaptive way of teaching. And the reason why I wanted to do that was today, every single element of our life is being updated. You all use your iPhone 7s. You don't use iPhone 1s anymore. You all drive a Mercedes C-Class. You don't use cars which were used in the 1970s anymore. But in India, what we were reading and what we were memorizing was the syllabus of the 1970s and the 1980s. So I had to learn what my grandfather had read and what my father had read, and it had absolutely no point in the current economic or the job market where it was very hard for youth to get jobs. So I wanted to create awareness on that through the SDGs, and the best way I felt that could be possible was to hook them on through a reality TV show, which is very, very exciting. I'm sure you guys have seen or heard about Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but in India, a lot more different drama in terms of soap operas, but we wanted to create something for the youth. We had shows for singing, we had shows for dancing, but there were no shows for SDGs or young innovators, so that is why, that's what motivated me to start that particular program. My experience was about 7 months ago when I was here for the Winter Assembly. I was selected as the Outstanding Youth Delegate, and it was such a great honor for me because over 3 years, I've never applied for any awards, or I never wanted to explore out of India to see what everyone else is doing under the on SDGs at all. But when I did come here, I realized how there's something much more important than hard work, which is smart work. And I realized how the UN and the officials there at the UN engage in smart working 24/7, 365 days a year to make the kind of things which we envision and which we dream actual reality. I learned so much about networking. I had the good fortune of connecting with UN Women. I never had gender equality, goal number 5, as a priority at all in my work. It was only always SDG 4 and SDG 9 or 13. But I realized and learned so much about each SDG and how many subtopics there are in each SDG. And I went about doing so much of research in the last 6 to 7 months. It opened up an entire array of opportunities to connect with my friends who I met during the previous Youth Assembly, and also forge new relationships. In the last 3 days, I was serving as a peer mentor, and I was able to guide several young global change makers and enter into business with a couple of them as well. So my advice would be just learn, keep your eyes open, learn that there's something more than hard work, which is smart work and network, because you rarely have this opportunity. When we go back to our home countries, we're going to be seeing the very same scene. We're not going to experience something so different. We're not open to different perspectives. We are in our smartphones. We're in our local communities. At the max, we get to see a few government representatives, but we're not going to be in a situation like we are today, being connected with the global youth who are ready to take action. To piggyback off Swish, who delivered some amazing points, I felt that technology in my initiative was a huge game changer because today, just have a look at the evolution of media. 20 years ago, newspapers used to be big. If someone in India had their face on newspaper, or in any country, if they were featured in a newspaper, we'd all be celebrities. And then if you look at 15 years ago, when you were appearing on a television interview, that used to be such a huge deal. But look at how little youth who are under the age of 30, how little we either read newspapers or watch television. We don't do that anymore. The one very big addictive tool that we are at our possession is this particular thing, is the phone. So we're always there, and in order for any company, you look at advertising, you look at how major corporations are spending billions and billions of dollars towards social media and digital marketing. They don't market in the traditional methods. So for social entrepreneurs and innovators like us who are very passionate towards making a difference in the UN's SDGs, I really feel that it is apt and it is very, very required to use social media. So I never used to use social media to the extent that I'm using now. Today, I wouldn't say I'm a social media user. I would say I'm a social media spammer because I spam so much about all the initiatives that I do. But the reason why it's very important is to get the word out. If you don't, like, it's one of the codes that I did when we as a team adopted 120 orphanages in India. The major problem with that particular project was nobody knew where they were. They were so geographically isolated. So what we did was, when we were adopting these 120 orphanages, the first thing that we did was we documented where they were, how many kids, how many elders were there in that particular home, and we gave them a website free of cost. So this is providing a website and showcasing them on social media. So even someone who's sitting halfway around the world, like Swish, can donate $50 for this particular orphanage on his birthday or on his anniversary if he's married. But so that's the power of technology, and I feel that we must use it to our benefit rather than use it as a distraction. Of course, it's not easy. For young people, it's never easy. Nothing is. Nothing worth life comes easy to you. You have to take things in your life. And I believe that we, as young global change makers, have the unique opportunities. A lot of the problems that we face in the 17 SDGs, you or I may have not even been responsible for 99% of those problems, but we are still inheriting it. I want you guys to think about that. We are still inheriting all those problems. However, we have the opportunity to make a difference. So why do youth matter? It's such a beautiful question. I want you to picture a situation in your room. If someone spills, like your mom or your dad or someone in the household spills coffee on your bed and then leaves, and you don't want to take action to change that, or do you expect them to do it for you? I really feel that in order to keep a clean household, you have to do it yourself in that particular situation, and that is the same example that you must take in our world. Whatever you can do, even whether if it's a small impact in your local community or a huge impact working with the government or with the United Nations, you must be the change that you want to see in our dream world. So that is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. The other quote which I want to say, because I know this will be the next would be probably the last question, is why do youth matter is one of the questions which I asked my mentor, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who was the former president of India. Um, and he told me that the youth are the most powerful resource on the earth, and we have the responsibility, the moral and the civic responsibility, to take care of us, to take care of our parents, as well as the future generations. So it is up to us to do what great leaders have done in the past, to lead, to inspire, and to empower.
Also want to congratulate all the panelists for these great examples that you've been showing within your various communities and the country. I just want to ask, I mean, how prepared were you guys, before you started your ventures? And of course, I mean, I know that you didn't rise up just from 0 to 10, as we are all happy today. But there will be some time, there will be some downtimes. I mean, what were the lessons, or what were some of the downtimes, and what did you learn from it to be able to share with also the other colleagues who are here? Yeah, everyone.
Well, when I was young, my father was a salesman in India, and he was earning $10 a month. We were at poverty, and we were going through a very hard time. And I used to be a national swimmer, and my entire life was into swimming and nothing else. And after my swimming career, when I went back into doing social service and being a social entrepreneur, empowering a lot of young people, I realized how fortunate we all are in this room, because there are people all over the world who have no idea what the Youth Assembly is, no idea what the UN is, no idea what SDGs are. They just know what they suffer. And that is the only thing that they know. And it is up to people like us, the fortunate few, the privileged, to help the weak and the needy. And that is what motivates me, and that is what I use as motivation every single day when I go to work.
Thank you very much for your wonderful talks. And my name is Sean, and I'm from China. I've got a question that, according to a professor in Beijing University, he described this generation in China as the delicate egoists, meaning people are receiving the good education, but they're actually self-centered, and they're only for their own interests. And I'm not going to avoid that. We can see that in the core package, almost half of the people are Chinese, right? But they're like acting in groups and not talking to the other people. But and I guess a lot of people's motivation for attending the youth assembly is for adding some experiences in their college application, so that the teachers from the colleges can they'll get better results of the university. So my question would be, how do we inspire people around us and change their mindsets like this, and raise their sense of social responsibility? Thank you.
I think the mindset would change when you're part of such an amazing culture that we have around here in this room itself. Of course, it's no secret that a lot of, even myself included, when I started working with the UN, all I wanted was a very nice, very nice experience certificate, or more resume boosters and such, which will glorify who you are and how cool you would be to your friends to say that I've been working on some nice social venture projects. But the first step in order to break that mindset is experience. Experience this culture where you talk about problems. And when I came in, I will be very honest to admit something very ignorant. I was very, very ignorant about the refugee crisis, of how deep and dense and how much of a serious issue, and one of the most trending issues it was at that time when I was there at the Youth Assembly in January. I was completely unaware of it, and I felt ashamed after I was witness to that. And I was attending probably about 20 sessions here, and I think 12 of those sessions had something to do with refugees. And it felt how ignorant, not just me, but several people in my community were. And we can't change the mindset until and unless we make an effort to do so. And the comment which you made in terms of breaking stereotype, in terms of moving out of your comfort zone, is very, very essential for youth. And that is what I try to advocate. When you're in your comfort zone, you limit your learning potential. When you think that you know everything, knowledge is infinite. No one knows everything. Whatever you think that you know is probably one minuscule percent of 1%. So there's so much that we need to learn, and I feel that when you humble yourself to that level where there's an ocean of knowledge out there to learn, and there's so much of action that needs to be taken in our world, I feel that that mindset will break, and we will be united to stand for what is good.
So, from each of you, what advice do you have for all of you aspiring activists in this room today?
Well, guys, I have a dream, and I want to share. I know it's cliche, but I want to share that dream with all of you today, and I hope you would cooperate with me. And I'm sure that this panel has been so exhilarating that no one would have closed their eyes even for a second. But I want all of you, everyone in this room, including the moderator, to close your eyes just for 30 seconds, if you can. I want you to envision our world as it is right now, with all the problems that we face individually and collectively. Imagine all the world's problems that humanity has faced throughout history up till this moment, all the 17 SDGs. Now dream of a new world with me. A world without poverty or pollution. A world without hunger or corruption. A world which protects justice and rights. A world where we cease wars and fights. A world where every person has access to affordable health care. A world where people from different cultures and gender are treated fair. A world offering sanitation and quality education. A world where economic growth enables responsible consumption. A world that is green, a world that is clean, a world we dream, but yet to be seen. Now, imagine the world we dreamt at the start, and compare it to our new world, which we dream within our heart. Please open your eyes. This poem is my dream, and now it is ours. So let us be the change that we want to see in our dream world.